Good to go?
Yep.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us again. We are at episode 15.
That's right.
Of Two Life Bulls podcast. And we got another special guest today for you. He is a Josh Russell black belt joining us from Canada. He is the owner of Rocky Mountain BJJ, as well as one of our favorite products, Kimura Soap.
That's right.
So, everyone, we have our buddy Christian Simmerling today joining us.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. Awesome to be on the podcast. Yeah. Episode what? 15?
15, man. We're getting.
That's cool.
Yeah, we've been getting after it. We've been we've had a couple interviews, but we've just been talking about life, fatherhood, COVID, everything else. So
have you had guests on every interview or just?
No, not everyone. We did one with Frankie Rosenthal.
Yeah.
We did one with Gene Dunn.
Oh, cool.
We got you. We got one set up with one of the she was actually last year's Blue Belt Absolute World Champ out of Henzo Gracie, Ottawa. Up there, we're doing an interview with her.
Oh, really?
Week. Yeah, Joe.
What's her name?
Joe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's great. She's awesome. So I've trained with her up there when I went up there and stuff like that, and she's been down this way. So we're gonna talk to her next week. But
how old is she?
She's a pro MMA fighter, I think. I think she's 30.
Cool.
She's got a competition coming up in Long Beach. It's a 8-woman no gi submission only tournament. It's like Battle at the Shore coming up next week.
Oh, nice.
So we're gonna talk to her a little bit about her prep and what's going on with her for this tournament.
And she trains out of Ottawa for that though?
Yeah, she trains and she's one of like the assistant Muay Thai instructors and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, no, she's cool. Joe's cool. So first thing, why don't you give a little background on yourself, Christian?
Yeah, I grew up in Vancouver, BC, British Columbia. I don't know, pretty big city. I played football there in high school and then went to St. Mary's University.
Okay.
Played football there, which is out in Halifax, which is, Canadian football on the other side of the country, obviously. And then I was drafted to the Calgary Stampeders in 2004 and played 2 years with the Stamps.
Nice.
And then they when they bring in new management, they bring in new coaches, and usually the new coaches bring in new players. So that was the end of me.
So did you get into jiu-jitsu when you were playing football or after?
So when I got cut, I was still looking to compete. I was fairly young when I was playing with the Stamps. I was only 23. And so I ended up going to work like in Alberta. The oil and gas business is really, pretty big part of our industry. Mm-hmm. And so there's always lots of young guys, our industry is a little bit depressed right now, but generally speaking, like you can be a young guy graduating high school and go work like a service rig or a drilling rig and go make like $100,000 in a year.
Wow.
And so there's all these, young kids driving around brand new pickup trucks, throwing money around.
Yeah.
And so I was like, damn, I think I'm going to go make some of that oil field money. Nice. And then, so I worked in the field for a little while and then got a corporate sales job in downtown, like in the city. But then, I was just doing that and I was like, I was making good money, but I was like, there's got to be, I still feel like I want to do something athletic. Right. And I've always sort of liked martial arts. I've never really done any. And, as a kid, I always used to like when the UFC came out, I think, I don't know what grade I was probably in grade like 7 or 8, 93. Anyway, like I brought home one of those first UFC tapes and I like brought it in my dad. I'm like, Dad, we got to watch this. So I've always been interested in martial arts. And then I just knew that you could still compete in jiu-jitsu as an older athlete, right? So I was like, man, I want to start training and then I can start doing jiu-jitsu tournaments. And then, so I literally Googled like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. And then Josh Russell's school came up.
Okay.
And that was in 2007.
He's a Gracie Baja black belt, right?
Yeah. So Josh Russell is a really cool story, man. That guy, he's an Alberta kid and he was fighting, he was training like traditional, there was some traditional Japanese, like Japanese jiu-jitsu school here.
Yep.
And he was going there and he's like, this is not really where it's at, guys. He's like, we got to, he was telling the teacher, like, this is not really martial arts. Like, this stuff isn't going to work here.
Yeah.
And so, and Josh was a real scrappy kid. Like, like he was the sort of guy that was, teeing off with people after school in the parking lot.
The Canadian
like
one.
Yeah.
like old, like high school fights, like after school, like it's arranged fight against so and so in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So Josh was always mixing it up, and so when he was training with these traditional Japanese guys, he's like, I gotta figure something better out. And this was probably like early, like mid to late 90s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, screw it, man, I'm just gonna go to Brazil. So he flew down to Rio and started training at Gracie Barra with Carlos Gracie Junior, Carlinhos, right?
Yeah.
And so he just made like multiple trips, just like saved up his money, went there, and then would come back, work in the oil field for a bit, and then save his money, go back. And he finally got his black belt in 2003, I think, from Carlinhos. And then so he started his school, JR. Well, it was Gracie Barra Calgary, so that's how I got hooked up with him, when it was Gracie Barra Calgary. But it's pretty cool for a guy, to have a guy like that in Alberta with that sort of jiu-jitsu qualifications
and everything else.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, you'd probably have to travel, like, even right now, like, you'd have to get in your car and drive to, like, California before you would find another jiu-jitsu guy at that level. You have to drive to San Diego.
So now are you close to him? Because you're in Alberta, right?
Yeah, we're in the same city. Like, we're both in Calgary.
Oh, okay, Calgary. So
Calgary,
you got one end of the block, he's got the other end of the block.
Well, sort of. I mean, right now Calgary's divided up into quadrants. So like, he's in the southeast. I'm in the northwest.
Okay, so you're on like opposite ends.
Opposite ends, yeah. But I mean, it's still, Calgary's really big, and so we're sort of like more towards the middle of the city. But we're not really like, I'm not cutting his grass by any means with my school at all.
Yeah, no. And I saw, which was really nice, is like you guys have been doing a lot of stuff together and tournaments and stuff, right?
I mean, the thing about Josh is, like, I still want to learn from that guy. Like, I think, like, so I started training with Josh in 2007, and then got my black belt in 2015. And, I competed a lot, was going to LA and, a bunch of, international tournaments and stuff. But I think, people get their black belt and they think that they, like, don't need to learn anymore or something. I don't know why that is.
I have no clue either. It's like, oh, I made it to the top of the mountain. It's like, no, you just got to the first base camp. Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, like, you talk to an experienced black belt and they'll say, like, man, my journey started at black belt.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, I got my second degree this year. And I mean, like, I've been a black belt for almost 9 years. And it's just like, dude, I would kick my own ass at black belt when I first got it, Totally.
And I think, like, coming from Calgary's not a small town, there's like 1.5 million people here, but like, if you don't travel and like go experience other big schools and then have the opportunity to be in a big school where there's like 15 or 20 or like 25 other black belts in the room. So you actually sort of look down at your belt, you're like, my belt actually doesn't mean shit.
Nothing. Nothing.
It means nothing.
I think
but if you stay in your small town, you will think that your black belt means something.
Yes. Yeah. I think the one benefit that you had, I mean, coming to Jersey, was you got to train at, Henzo's in the city. You got to be at Silver Fox's school. You got to be at Henzo Gracie Denville. You got to work out with like, it was like the mecca on the East Coast of jiu-jitsu. New York and New Jersey is crazy. You can walk into like even small schools in New Jersey and there's, multiple brown belts, black belts on the mat.
Man.
Yeah, so you got a unique perspective, and you get to bring that perspective back to your students, being like, I've trained with the best guys in the world. I've trained with the guys that are in the hotbeds. Like, you're getting good jiu-jitsu, and you got to realize there's always something to learn.
There's always something to learn. It's funny, like, the way I run my school is a bit like that. Like, I don't have contracts. Like, I don't try to lock people into contracts. And I have people coming that take my lunch class, and then they'll leave and go to a different school, and they're like teaching at what they learned at my school at a different school. And people are like, aren't you worried they're going to like catch up and they're going to be like, I'm like, dude, I do not care. You want to come here, like, you want to train here and go train somewhere else also, fill your boots, man. Do whatever you got to do. I really don't care.
Well, I think you come from a different mindset too of like you said, you played football and like you're just another number on that team.
Exactly.
So that's like kind of the mindset that you brought in, because that's like a lot we were talking about. Like we see it with like the wrestlers. Like the wrestlers will wrestle their own mother for a world championship. They don't care.
Right.
They're like, "I got you, Bob." Headlock it,
Yeah.
you know, because they're so used to wrestling their best friends all the time. And we talked about this with Frankie.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So we talked about this with Frankie, like because some of the guys that he might be competing against, like Ethan and Oliver,
Right.
they all train together, and he's like, bro, he's like, we'll go at it. Like, he's like, there's times in a tournament where it's like, oh, you have a better chance of getting through in certain things, and we make strategical moves. But like, he's like, if it comes down to like me and him going for 50 grand, like, let's put on a show, bro.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And like, but these smaller town guys that have black belts, they think that they're like, you know, what we teach is super secretive, and you know, we don't want people cross training at different schools, and you know, it's just such a limiting sort of view to have.
Me being a school owner my whole, you know, pretty much existence in jiu-jitsu career, because I started, you know, I opened my first school, like jiu-jitsu school, as a 3-stripe white belt, and I was the highest ranking guy in the area at the time.
Right.
And, you know, I always said, like, my guys have always been able to go train everywhere, but you have your home, and you take care of your home, and you respect your home, and you teach, and you take care of your brothers and your sisters. You can always go on a trip to see some of your cousins, but you got to come back home. That's the way I've always looked at it.
Yeah.
You know, because I want you to learn, because they bring it back to me. And luckily, like, my ego's not big enough where, like, you know I can learn from anybody.
Right. Yeah, you absolutely can.
If you have good shit, like, I'm going to take it, man.
Yeah. I know. I mean, there's certain moves in jiu-jitsu, certain techniques. Like, I never really started getting good at them until brown belt and black belt.
Yeah.
Huge. You know, like, how many times have we spoke about it? Like, your game changes at each level so many times.
Yeah. I mean, granted,
it really does.
I've been a brown belt for that long, but I mean, I could see going from like purple to brown. I'm already seeing like I'm just completely changing it up.
Totally different game. Totally different game. Like even my game last year to this year, you know, I mean, obviously you got your bread and butters. You got your bread and butters, right? But there's certain things that you add, or just I feel like even as you get higher up, it's not necessarily the moves, it's the strategy.
It is, yeah.
You know, because like we when we train with Frankie, you know, he gave me like 2 strategical moves or just thought processes, because he's like, gee, an armbar is an armbar, leg lock, you know that shit. He's like, I'm just trying to tactically approach these things. And he gave me 2 different strategies, and I've been whooping ass.
You're talking about Frankie Rosenthal or Roberts?
Yeah. Rosenthal.
Rosenthal, yeah. Yeah.
Frankie Roberts is good too.
Roberts is good too.
Frankie Roberts is good too. He's just opening up his school as well.
Just opened up. I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, same as me, but I got to stay open 2 months before COVID hit. But that guy, and we don't need to switch to COVID right now, but that guy literally opened his school and then got slammed with COVID. Yep. Like, that's brutal. And he's a good instructor, that Frankie Roberts guy.
No,
he's real good.
I mean, he used to come up and do MMA with us, so I've known Frankie since he was like a blue belt.
You know what's funny with that guy is when he teaches a move, I don't know if he does this on purpose, but he rotates left and right very fluidly. And so like, if I see a move and I'm learning it for the first time, I want to see it like done on one side. Like 3 or 4 times. You don't need to switch it on me, bro. He's just like left, right. You're like, okay, man.
No, which one? Do I grab this wrist?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do. I guess I'm gonna go the right side.
So I mean, kind of leewaying in, like you were saying a little bit, is like, how's COVID been for you up in the Great White North?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I started my school, Rocky Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, in January 1. So I got to be open for, 2 months. And then, I got some funny COVID stories. So I'm part of this big sports complex called Win Sport, where they have like, our bobsled team trains there. There's like all these hockey rinks.
There's hockey in Canada?
Yeah, I know Canada.
No shit.
The NHL, the Calgary Flames play there. They have, we call them like carded athletes. So all these like international or like Canadian athletes that are carded athletes, like basically if you're on the Canadian team, whether it's bobsledding or, luge or.
Isn't your sister an Olympic athlete?
Yeah, my sister, she's been to 3 Olympics.
It's crazy,
She'll be going
right?
she'll be going to Tokyo next. Tokyo got delayed this summer because of COVID, but she'll be going to Tokyo next summer for cycling.
That's some good fucking stock over there, huh? Football players, Olympians.
Anyway, so I'm part of the sports complex and I'm rent this space from them. But I mean, it's my building or it's my space by, keys and stuff, but it's my area. But I mean, they sort of oversee everything. So they sent me this, like, when COVID hit, they sent me this very like convoluted lawyer written email basically saying like, you can use your space, but follow the provincial guidelines. So I was like, whatever, dude, like I'm running my school. Like, I don't care about COVID. And when COVID came out, I definitely
introduced to the American way.
I'm like, I got a business to run. Like, I got the corporate world. I got to get my school up and running. So I was just running classes, just like pretending like COVID was nothing.
Yeah.
But as what was it like March 10th, March 11th, March 12th, I think, like right through there to like the 15th. That's when when the NBA shut down, they were like one of the first. That's when it seemed like it got serious, right? And so, my classes were dwindling. We had like 20, then it was like 15, and then it was like 10, and then like
scared, bro.
March 15th, it's like there's like 3 people there. I'm like, you guys, come on, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I get like the nastiest email. Oh, actually, no. You know what happened? I asked for. Yeah, so the classes were like toast, right? Nobody's coming to class anymore. Everybody's paranoid. I asked for rent relief from this corporation. They come back with all this. You've been using your space for the wrong reasons. You've been running classes when you shouldn't have. There's a pandemic going on, blah, blah, blah. They're like, hand in your keys. We're kicking you out. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to lose this space. I can't believe it. I tell my – we had a couple people were having a couple beers after training, in the space. And so, I almost lost this beautiful space I have over training during COVID.
I know.
So that was a little hectic. So then I called security, went there, hauled out 18 mats and brought them all to my garage. So then I opened up an underground jiu-jitsu studio called
Underground Fight Club.
Yeah,
we called it Speakeasy Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
And so like end of March, it was probably about a week there we didn't train, and then I had these 18 mats in my garage, which 18 mats, you guys know how big that space is. That's not it's not terribly small. I mean, you can fit 10 people rolling at one time on 18 mats.
Yeah.
So we had all these people coming to my garage to train, which was hilarious. Like,
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's almost like the norm now. You're kind of, because we were seeing it here, because it was right around like the end of March. That's when they just shut down everything. And then eventually I started getting texts from people being like, oh, hey, like I know your gym's closed, but the back of my office or like the back of the back of my house, I got some mats set up, I'm gonna do like the location and time at a certain point, and then you just show up and train. So
I know
it's like with Garrett and I were talking about like the beginnings of jiu-jitsu when like people were like training
like the Gracie garage
in backyards and stuff. So
it literally was Gracie garage. So I was looking around going, man, I used to have this beautiful place, this beautiful school, and here I am training in a garage.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think that shows how much that all of us love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're willing to do it. Like put them in your yard, put them in here. And I think that shows, one, that we're all crazy fucks, but two, that like the commitment and the respect that we have for the art and that the value it brings to our lives, even in a pandemic where they say, if me and Drew do this, we're going to die. Okay. But But we all have kids, we all have responsibilities, but for mental health for us, it's the values, it's invaluable.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like, if I wouldn't have been able to train those couple of months, man, like I was a little bit choked having like my new school shut down. Like if I wouldn't have been able to train, I would have been like just devastated. Like,
well, I get it too, because like even for me, I just bought the house. the week before or the month before they shut me down. So I just moved into the house. Me and you both have young kids. You know, you got a bunch of young kids too. You are making a life-changing decision, moving back to Canada, opening a school, leaving your corporate, you know, getting in your new place. I just bought a house, literally just laid out all that money, and then they turned off my cash flow for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yo, Christian, there's this thing up there rattling.
Oh.
Did you see that, like your pole?
Oh, right here?
Yeah, it was hitting the metal, and all I was hearing was ding, 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 ding.
Is it better now?
Oh, you're good. You're good now. Okay. I just saw, because it took me like 5 minutes to figure it out. I'm like, I see that thing. Because, like, when you're moving the table, I guess, it was like...
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. But, dude, like, that's the same thing. Like, you know, I mean, Drew, like, he said to me, he's like, bro, I feel for you, man. Like, luckily, I mean, he's been working, but they've been working him like a dog, because now he can work from home. They're like, oh, call you at 3 o'clock in the morning, call you at 6, you're home, pick up the phone.
I went from, like, an average, like, 40, 45 hours, like, working a week to about 70. And
wow. Man, it's crazy. It's like, some people's lives during COVID have improved. Like, they're like, we love COVID. Like, I'm working from home. I'm spending all this time with my family. They're like, I'm making more money. It's like, dude, I don't want to talk to those people. I do not want, I mean, I respect it. I guess that's your scenario. Everybody's got a different, you know, situation going on. But when I'm out somewhere and somebody's like, oh, I love COVID, I love the lockdown. I'm like, dude, get out of here.
Get out of here. I know.
Get the fuck out of here.
You know, and the thing is, too, with that, Christian, is like, it's like, those are the same people that don't leave their house anyway. They're introverts. They're happy that this happened, so they don't have to deal with reality every day. They can live in that bubble, be protected, and as long as they're making money. Now, if you turned off their money, they wouldn't love it as much.
No, I know.
That's the biggest thing, which is fine. So, but like at the same time, it's like we're extroverts. Like, we like to go out. We like to contribute.
Dude, totally.
We like to be around.
So like, and our government has been writing checks to people like you wouldn't believe. So like, if you worked at a restaurant, for example, and you were laid off because of COVID, you get this Canadian like benefit. I call it a CERB. Canadian, I don't know what it's called. Canadian Employment Benefit, whatever.
Like our unemployment almost.
Yeah. So it's $2,000 a month, right? There's a ton of people that if you give them $2,000 a month, that's more money than they were making at their shitty ass job. Yep. So like, some of these people don't even want to go back to work.
That's like, even like where we're at now is they give you an extra $600 every month.
Right.
So like some people are making more money, but now they're like, it's almost like they're going to have to come up with an incentive to be like, okay, you can keep some of your unemployment to offset that, but you got to go back to work, because some people are like, fuck this, bro. I'm sitting pretty, kid.
Right.
But for me, I've always hustled. So, like, for me, it's like, I'm a hustler. Like, I've always grinded. I always hustled. Like, you know, that's not me. Like, I want to be at work. I'm not asking for the handout. I want to go make it.
Yeah. No, I don't want to.
And I'm okay with that.
I don't want government money. Like,
no.
I just want to run my business.
Yep, that's it. And obviously, we're not doing anything that, like, you know, we know that would, you know, intentionally hurt our clients. Like, that's just, we're not irresponsible. We're not irrational people. Like, you know, we try to do right by people, but at the end of the day, like we said it 1,000 times, the human species is resilient.
Yeah.
We'll be okay. And with something that has a 99.97 survival rating, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
I know. Like, we definitely need to take care. I don't know if you've heard, like, in the province of Ontario, this COVID thing has exposed a lot of like deficiencies in our old age homes. Like, we had these healthcare workers.
All our deaths are in the old age homes here too. More like 50-60% of it.
Yeah, we had these like healthcare workers going back and forth from different old age homes, and they're like bringing COVID with them into the new home. It's like, guys, pick a home, you know. But what they do is they pay them less money, so they don't pay them like full time. So these people need multiple jobs in the same sector, and now they're cruising around barely trying to make a living. But if you pay them a little bit more, they could stay in one home, and you wouldn't have this cross contamination or whatever, right?
Well, that's even like, I know that I think it was the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
Department of Justice sent a letter to 4 governors. Our governor, New York's governor, I think California's, and maybe Michigan's, or one of them. because they went against CDC guidelines and they were forcing people into the nursing homes with COVID. So they're basically committing mass murder on old people.
Yeah, it is
Like
concerning.
they said, like, do not put them. If the facility's not capable, you're better off quarantining them at home. And they were putting them in the nursing homes, and 50 to 60% of New Jersey's deaths were all 70-something and older and in the nursing homes.
Yes. I mean, like in Canada, we were like locked down and they were still allowing flights from China. Like, come on.
Yeah, but you know, over here, we that's not allowed to be talked about in the United States, like, because you're not supposed to do China. You're not supposed to, you know, you're supposed to let everybody in and not build the wall. But then as soon as, you know, he shut down flights from China, oh, he should have done it quicker. But the same people were telling him, you can't do that. But now, since it's in their favor, oh, we told him he should have done it quicker. It's the hypocrisy that's going on in this world right now is insane.
I know.
Yo, they took all your guns up there.
Well, they're trying to. Alberta, we've like stood up. We're like, no, you can't take these guns.
No.
And the gun laws, I don't know, like the gun laws make no. Do you guys know what a Tavor is? IWI Tavor.
No.
Do you guys own guns? You know what a bullpup rifle is?
A bolt pop rifle, like a slide one,
no,
or like an AR-15.
A bullpup. You ever heard that term?
No.
What is that?
Okay, I'm just gonna tell you guys real quick. You know, on an AR-15, how the cartridge that holds the rounds is in front of the trigger.
Yes.
You've seen these like a styre.
Where it's behind it.
Yes, behind. Okay, so if you mount if the cartridge is behind the trigger, it's usually called a bullpup. What that does is shorten the barrel length. The barrel is now longer, but yeah. Okay, so this IWI Tor is like the standard rifle for like a ton of militaries, especially in Israel.
Uh-huh.
This, I shouldn't be saying this because gun owners are going to get upset. This thing is still legal. This is like this thing can compete with an AR all day long. And Canada is so stupid. We're like, yeah, you can't buy an AR, but we're selling IWI Tavors out the back to the store. Totally legal, no problem. It's like, guys, so ridiculous.
Well, you guys live in the fucking wilderness. You need guns.
Hey, those people do, man. I don't know if you need all that stuff. I mean, you can get into the debate whether you need a semi-auto in the city. I don't know.
Who cares?
But,
well, I would say you're fucking American, but
the people in the wilderness do need those guns.
But in the wilderness, bro, like you need that, and you need more than one shot because you're getting charged
for
air. You're gonna tell me, oh, I'm so good, shit in my pants with a 1,000-pound animal with fucking fags coming at you.
I know. I mean, you can get into a big gun debate here, but most of the legal gun owners aren't the one causing gun crimes anyway. So
we all know that. Yeah. It's never and
it's all your guys' handguns pouring over our border that are causing
That's right. We
problems.
Keep straps, son. We got one on each hip.
Another cool thing back to training in the garage though is at my little speakeasy jiu-jitsu school, man, because all these other schools were closed down. We had like these other black belts from other schools coming to train that normally, like, you know, people are a little fortified with their school, right? They're like, oh, I'm not going to go train there. I don't want to upset this instructor or that instructor. But, you know, during this lockdown, it was sort of open season and it was like just jiu-jitsu because people could go wherever, you know, you could go to somebody's garage because, you know, the instructor, and he, you know, Josh was at my school at the garage, and there were people from other schools there that normally you never get to train with.
Yeah.
Garrett and I talked about that when they first started like shutting down like academies, and him and I for like 2 or 3 months were just shooting content. And aside from like just missing training, there's also that community aspect. Like,
right.
Like seeing your friends, having those like after training kind of mat chats, like kind of like just chopping it up with like your boys. Like
that's how the podcast started.
Yeah, that was kind of like the big thing. Like I really missed just kind of hanging out with my guys, just talking about anything and everything. Like it's just that big community aspect that everyone was kind of missing. That kind of human interaction that had just kind of got shut down like instantly. That everyone was
totally
really missing.
And when you're training, go ahead, Garrett. Sorry.
So like you said, the good thing is too is like you get to train with people that you wouldn't be able to train with, and it kind of let the guard down where it's not like, oh, you're from Gracie Baja, oh, you're from over here,
right?
Oh, you're my enemy. Like it's like, oh, we all got to come together to do what we love still. So
totally.
I think that kind of, you know, settled some people. Like I know like there's people I haven't trained with in a long time that, you know, they're in another part of a school or another thing, and they're like, yo, like you want to train? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to train, you know, like, so you kind of reconnect with some of those people, even though they might have went off to Alliance or here or there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're just still regular dudes and dudettes trying to get our jiu-jitsu on,
we just
you
like
know?
to train. That's it. It's nothing. That's the one thing that kind of bonds us all. It's like, oh, you like jiu-jitsu? I like it too. All right, well, yeah, we're friends now. Now we train.
And the nice thing, like when you're training in a garage, there's no like another class that's coming on after. So it's not like you got to clean the mats and like rush people out. Like people were hanging out, cracking beers and, you know, just hanging out. There was no rush to make them leave or, you know, we got a kids class in 10 minutes. Can you get your stuff out of here?
You can actually sit down and have that full like community feeling where like
totally
like we trained one night and then we got a bunch of pizzas, cracked some beers, and we watched what did we watch that one night?
So one of the recent fight to wins that were like coming up. So
with like he was the main event against that Kyle Boham.
Yeah, that was cool, man. I'm so appreciative for like the UFC and Fight to Win and Third Coast Grappling for hosting these events during COVID. Man, those guys have done a great job.
They have.
Yeah, great shows.
They have. And you know, it's not like they're crushing it. They're doing it for the love of the sport because it's not like they're selling tickets. You know, they're trying to get the video views and be supported through like Flow Grappling and stuff like that. But like, you know, they would be killing it even more if they're having these big events.
Yeah, those arenas.
Yeah, they would. I would love to know the pay-per-view numbers in that first UFC pay-per-view. What was that, like in April? That must have been crazy because that was like the first sporting event in North America, right?
Yeah.
You guys have anything going on up by you sporting-wise?
If
it's not hockey and bobsledding, you ain't watching?
So the NHL has like designated Vancouver and Edmonton as these host cities to run like a few games to like qualify for the Stanley Cup, I think. And that was just announced. So there is going to be some televised hockey, but again, you know, no fans.
How do you do
but I mean, I don't really, who cares? Like, I don't care there's no fans. Well, I can watch UFC all day long with no fans.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me either. Like, I don't even like going to the UFC events. I'd rather sit on my couch and watch it.
Yeah, or go to buddies. I agree. There's too many, you know, there's all these weirdos running around and spilling beer and you can't get a good seat.
All know-it-alls and everybody's like, oh, just stand up. Just stand up. It's like, yeah, you stand up if I'm holding you down. You know, like.
Yeah, no, I'm happy those guys ran those events.
So are you guys back open now?
So like you can go to, everything's pretty much open, but there's a lot of restrictions. So like, you know, 50% capacity for restaurants, bars.
Nice.
Servers are all wearing masks, which is weird. You know, like your server at the
hands made
yeah. Yeah, so
it is.
But I mean, like restaurants are open, and you know, you go to some places and it's like COVID never even happened. Like the patio's packed, you know, just filled with people getting hammered and But so our like sort of main drag in Calgary is called 17th Avenue, and like when the sun's out, it is packed. And the younger people really aren't wearing masks, you know. But then you go some places, like you go to a grocery store, everybody's wearing a mask, it seems. But they're all seem older, right? But you know, 17th Ave, where all the bars and the patios are, nobody's wearing masks.
Yeah. Well, it's also I noticed just from my time, like going up to Canada a couple times, like definitely a lot politer culture. You know, everybody's a little bit more politer and respectful up there, so they seem to follow the rules a little bit better.
A little bit more, maybe. I don't know. Like, there's all this like shaming going on online for people that don't wear masks. It's like, really,
here, man.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, why don't you go? What is it? Like 300,000 Americans die a year from obesity. Like, why don't you go protest McDonald's?
I know. We say it all the time, bro. All the time. Like nobody's bitching about all the, you know, all the people. I said, yo, did you know more people die a day of fucking rabies? Rabies.
Yeah, exactly.
Rabies.
Or like
triple the amount. Rabies.
Or how many people die from alcohol related deaths? You're not protesting in front of a liquor store.
No, they kept them open because they were essential in New Jersey because they're one of the biggest tax revenues.
Oh, what also was essential here is our weed stores. Weed stores open all through COVID.
Yeah, our weed stores were open too.
I think we can agree that's all essential.
Yeah, we're like, it's good for, you know, your sanity, you know?
Yeah, so. we gotta get through this somehow.
I need a coping mechanism, you know? No jujitsu. Like
I need some gummies. I need some gummies so I don't lose my shit, man.
Yeah. I just don't understand the shaming of people not wearing a mask. Like, dude.
You know what? I think it comes down to that some people are fucking scared to death.
They are. Yeah.
And it's okay but like they don't admit that they're scared to death. They try to project that onto you saying, hold on. I got a meme on here the other day. I'll look it up for you for a second. But like, I think it's one of those things that these people, are scared and they don't want to admit they're scared. So they're just projecting it onto you. And it's like, listen, just because I have faith in my immune system, don't be pissed off at me.
I know.
You don't have faith in your immune system because you don't take care of yourself. You're not eating right. Now, listen, I ain't the pillar of health, bro. But like, like I train, I eat right, I do my thing. Like that's the biggest thing. Like these people that are all right. So it said, let me read it. It says the obedient always think of themselves as the virtuous rather than the cowardly.
Right.
And
that's
it's
exactly
so true.
It.
It's so true because you're like, we're business owners, like we're more alpha, I guess you could say, if that's still allowed to say in this.
Yeah, maybe like risk adverse, maybe.
But we're risk and reward. Like, yo, if you like to base jump, I hate fucking heights. I'm not gonna base jump. Well, who am I to tell you not to go jump off it? You're taking
shame those base jumpers.
Shame you. I'm cutting holes in your parachute.
Yes.
Chasing with the belt.
Oh, your mask is like your parachute. Would you base jump without your parachute? It's like, shut up. The other thing, I say it all the time. You ever had sex without protection? You're taking the same risk as COVID. So a lot of people have fucking kids, and multiple kids by multiple different people are the same people that they're telling me to wear a mask.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I don't get it, bro. I don't get it at all.
I don't know. Everybody's just so hypersensitive about everything. Like, look what I don't know what your position is on this. Like, they're changing the name of the Washington Redskins now.
That's been going on for years.
Yeah, there's a couple teams that they've been looking to like change the name of and everything, and I get it.
I'm probably not qualified to even comment on this being at all. Like, isn't the name of the team in honor of their like warrior spirit?
Listen, you could say that, and I mean that it's like anything else in life.
That's all I know. That's what I know.
It's like anything else in life. Like, you could be paying a good homage and tribute to something, but then somebody comes from the other side and goes, oh, that's just racist. And nowadays it's just so easy to just be like, oh, you're fucking racist.
Yeah, I remember.
If you don't agree with something, you're racist.
I was telling you this story. So like our buddy who owns Roll Junkie, who trains at a Georgia school. I remember like last year he released a gi. It's called the Shadow Gi. So it was all black. And it had the logo. It was like a monkey with like
you know Ed and the Roll Junkie.
Yeah.
So one day after training, he pulls me aside and he's like, hey man, he's like, can I show you something? And like I've helped him with like product photo shoots. And he's like, the Shadow Gi is coming out. And I'm like, oh, perfect. So he showed me like a mock-up of the gi, and it was like the Roll Junkie monkey on the side and like a kind of grayish outline. And I'm like, dude, that gi looks amazing. And he's like, yeah, but how do you feel about it? I'm like, it looks amazing. Like, I've been waiting for this gi. I've been telling you for like months to make a black gi. And he's like, do you think the monkey looks like blackface? Yeah. And I was like, what?
Exactly.
And the thing is, he was doing the mock-up for the gi, and somebody was looking at his mock-up was like, dude, that's totally blackface. You can't use that on blackface. It's gonna be offensive. And I'm like, dude, this is the logo you've been using since the inception of the brand. Like, how is that? Yeah. You've made black gis before. Like, how is that? It's just all it is. The logo. It's a monkey with cauliflower ears. He's like, does that look like blackface? I'm like, no. It looks like a monkey with cauliflower ears, like a silver outline. So you see how like someone could look at it like that's
but everybody's so fucking hypersensitive. You got a giant Filipino worrying about being racist against a black guy about a blackface fucking Roll Junkie monkey logo. Like, this is the conversations we're fucking having.
Well, this is just gonna be Karen's eating Karens.
Yeah, but it's so crazy, and I'm like, really, like the logo you've been using since you've created the brand, like someone just came out and like, it's blackface, you can't use it. And he's just like, well,
what?
So.
Well, where does it end? I mean, you're going to take down every single.
Well, yeah,
exactly. Where does it end? What is the final?
You're going to somebody's going to be insulted. Somebody will be insulted.
This is the problem. People forget that it's okay that you could be offended. It's not against the law that you're offended.
Right.
And we don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah.
You know what? And sometimes I hope I say something that fucking offends you.
Yeah.
Because if not, I'm not doing my job.
I used to coach football at this. I coached football at this high school called Western Canada High School, which is like a really well-known high school, and they've been around. This high school's been around since Calgary started here, like 18 whatever. I know that's not a lot of time for you guys down in New Jersey. You've been there but like 18, like late 1800s. That's a long time, right? They were called the Redmen, or Western Canada Redmen. They had this cool logo. Do I still have you there?
You're good. Yeah, you're good.
So, and then some young person comes along on the school board and is like, "This is racist. We're changing the name." So this high school has like pictures of like all the kids that were like fought in World War I with their Redmen. All these guys have fought in World War II. All these guys fought in Korea. Like, you're just gonna come along and just throw all that. Just swipe it clean, and now they're like called something like so lame, like literally like the lightning bolts, or like,
just West Calgary lightning bugs, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know that's a big thing because, like, have you ever heard of Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You ever hear of Jordan Peterson?
Yeah.
Okay, because he's Canadian, right?
Yeah, he's an Ontario guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so like he always talks about like the virtue signaling and all that, and he even said like, especially in Canada, the culture is like, like if you're a professor and you say something and it hurts somebody's feelings, like you're sued now. Like it's just like everybody's gotten so like socially,
you'll be fired.
Life, it's like, what are we doing? Who are we really protecting? Like I saw a great meme the other day. It was like, "Oh, we tried timeout for all those years, and now this is your result." And it's all the kids laying in the street for the protest. And I was like, "Dude, that's fucking perfect." They're like, "Well, ass whippings worked," like.
I don't know, and I like how all these schools have shut down. Like, how are you dealing with not educating your kids? How are these people not going to school? Like they're talking about, I don't know what it is for you guys, but like they're talking about not even having school in September. Like,
yeah, it's once they initially shut it down, they kind of went to like that kind of remote, like online learning. But even like my sister-in-law, who's like who has 4 boys as a teacher, she flat out says like it's a joke. She's like,
it's a joke.
Like I rarely talk to my students, and even then, it's like they just give them like workbooks and packets, and it's like it almost goes back to like that kind of community thing, like going to having that interaction with the teacher, or that one-on-one.
Totally.
Or seeing your friends, and now you're just gonna take that away from students. Like, how do you expect that?
I feel terrible for this year's graduating class, man. Like those seniors, they don't get to go.
Nothing.
All that hard work, and like they're looking forward to it, and just stripped away.
Even college seniors.
Yeah.
They
our college football,
they don't graduate, or like the guys in their senior year of football.
Yeah, our college football season's canceled next year. Like, scrap the whole season. Like, what if you're trying to go pro, or what if you that was think of being on a team for 4 years. It's finally your senior year, and the thing's done.
Yeah.
Because a bunch of people in old age homes, which we need to protect, are getting smoked. Like,
yeah.
What are we doing?
It's crazy.
What are we doing here?
We should just. And like, I don't know what you guys said, dude. These people are posting their jujitsu training in the box on dummies. Okay, guys, that's not jujitsu. Like, you're not open. Don't tell me you're open. You're not open.
You're absolutely right. But and I understand, and I think there's a big thing that we've seen just in the jiu-jitsu community. Do you know who Justin Garcia is? He owns the Jungle Gym in the Bronx.
Don't know him. Okay.
But Justin's he's a fucking savage, bro.
Yeah.
He says what he means, doesn't care. He's a Puerto Rican guy, so like he goes hard. He says shit. Like me and you, definitely you, white bread over there, couldn't get away with. And like he said shit, but like he's like that warrior Viking culture.
Right.
He posted something yesterday, and he was like, "I am so disgraced, especially with some of the leaders in the industry, world-class guys." He's like, "You're a bunch of virtue signaling, like pussies." Like he went hard, bro. He was like, he's like, "You guys just let me know that you're a bunch of fucking followers and sheep. You try to be the leaders of the industry, and you're just going. He like went super hard at people. He's like for doing shit like that. Now I understand the social distancing. I said all that stuff, but if we're all pretty intelligent guys, and we're looking at numbers and we're looking at things, and like Masks don't make sense. Like, I understand, like, during flu season, and don't compare it to flu, it's not the fucking same. All right. So, but, you know, like, but this is the thing. If you go into the hospital during flu season, you put a mask on. I've had to. I've gotten sick.
Yeah.
I had to go in there. You put a mask on. Understand it. But you don't see the healthy people walking around with the mask on. Now, if you're in a high-fledged environment that it's like everybody's got it, but not everybody has it.
Yeah.
Dude,
I mean,
like even in New Jersey, there's 9 million people in New Jersey. And there's, you know, there's what, 12 or 15,000 deaths at this point, and half of them were in the nursing home, if not more. So still 7,000 people over 5 months out of 9 million people.
So just to tell you, we'll go back to this dummy training with dummies in a minute, but in Alberta, the average life expectancy is 82. The average COVID death is 83 and a half.
Oh my God! It doesn't even fucking make sense.
Like,
you're already dead.
You've already made it.
Yeah,
made
like,
it.
that's the other thing. Like, people, you know, and everybody goes, you evil son of bitches. Every life counts. Every life does count. But at the same time, do you forget that we all die?
Yeah, but we do need to take care of these seniors. I'm going to keep saying that. We got to take care of these people.
Nobody's saying not.
Yeah, nobody's saying not to. But you and I not going to a barbecue doesn't affect the old guy in the old folks' home. You and I can still go to our hangout and go to our barbecue. Keeping me home doesn't do shit to those people.
Nothing. We need to protect those people. All our focus should have been on that.
But back to training with dummies though. So like, it's easy. So my scenario, like, I was granted rent relief from my school, right? So I was able to freeze everybody's accounts. Mm-hmm. So I've tried to be quick to jump on these school owners that are promoting training with dummies, because most of these guys, they know training with dummies is ridiculous. I think inside, if you actually ask them, but these guys are really just trying to keep their businesses open and trying to keep their students engaged. Absolutely. And because they weren't allowed to, they couldn't freeze their accounts, right? So they needed to keep, the revenue coming in to pay the bills. And the only thing they could do is train, talk about training with dummies.
They can do with what they got.
So exactly, man. So like, I hate to like rip on people that are like promoting training with dummies, but like, God, that's just terrible. They're doing what they got to do. But I mean, at the same time, the great part about jiu-jitsu is you're training with a resisting opponent. So you're going to take that resisting opponent aspect out of the sport. I mean, dude, don't say your gym's open. Your school's not open when you're training with dummies in a square. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for you. You got to keep promoting that sort of jiu-jitsu, but yeah, I mean, it's just terrible.
I'd rather have my guys, if that was the case, just coming in, working out together, solo drilling, moving,
right?
Still be able to do the community, atmosphere.
So are you guys open?
Just running like a CrossFit class together, Yeah. I'd rather have my boys get together and do that. That's just me personally. But
are martial arts schools in New Jersey open now?
Technically, as of yesterday.
Really?
We're supposed to be, I think,
So the schools that have been following all the guidelines, they're going to be reopening, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's obviously been some schools that have reopened and just, dealt with whatever consequences that come. But it sounds like there hasn't really been any consequences for being open early, right?
They come in. They'll come in.
They do?
Yeah, I mean, some places were very vocal about it and got shut down. And, the police came in, like, down in the Harrison area and Newark area and stuff like that.
Right.
Other places like George's, he's been pretty vocal about it. He's on a main street there, and they've come in and checked them and warned them and whatever. But
they haven't really done anything. I think he was kind of telling me, like, he says up until, like, they actually reported to, like, the prosecutor. But even then, when they report it to the prosecutor, he still has to choose if he wants to actually prosecute and file charge. So they report it to him, and he's just like, yeah, I don't care, then really nothing's going to happen. Right,
because, Drew, that's where you're training most of the time, right?
Yeah. So I'm usually up at Garrett's like one day a week. But, yeah, even the cops came in and kind of explained it to him. Like, they kind of came in, looked around. They still, like, we were training. We weren't, like, solo drilling. And they explained it to George, like, yeah, if someone complains, we'll come in. If someone complains, like, multiple times, like, we'll come back in. But even then, once they complain, like, a fourth or fifth time, he's like, we still have to go to the prosecutor and have him kind of formally press charges. And then at that point, it's up to him if he wants to file charges. If he decides like he has bigger things to worry about and doesn't want to actually formally press charges,
and give you $1,000 fine, and then make you have to spend 6 months in jail because you're running your business and they're making good people fucking criminals.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I don't know. There's like the regulations, but like I said, there's been plenty of gyms that have been open, and at the end
I stole George's idea of offering free training to police officers for a year, and posted it. Man, what a great response I've had. Like I got all these cops training with me now. I mean, they're not paying, but they're buying gis and they're signing up their kids, and
well,
they're promoting it to.
I did the same thing. I opened it up to our local law enforcement in the area. I got a bunch of corrections officers, and you know what, dude? That also comes into the funding of defunding of police and everything. Like, this is how we, as jiu-jitsu practitioners, martial artists that deal with grappling and everything, can give back to our local community to help educate our police forces to be able to grapple and handle a situation in a better situation than what most of them have to do because they had 1 month of grappling training in the academy 6 years ago.
Right. And that they don't hand them into the jail with their head beaten in by the flashlight.
Yeah, I've been seeing too with like the cops.
Sometimes you gotta do that to a motherfucker.
We've got a lot of like cops coming into Georgia recently because of like that new offer, and what I've been seeing is they're very curious. A lot of those questions, they've been asking a lot of questions, a lot of situational questions. Like, if I have a guy, who's face down, who's got his hands in, they're like, how do I properly move him and restrain him? They're not saying like, how do I keep him conscious? They're like, how do I properly restrain him while at the same time not getting my face smashed in and enough time that I can hold him, and then also allow for backup to come if needed.
You know what's the best move? Gary, you've seen this. If somebody's laying on their belly face down, if you take one leg and stick it in behind their other leg and then crank the other leg over top and then pin them down, dude, that guy's not going anywhere.
Dude, that's the sharpshooter.
Yeah. Sharpshooter, right?
Sharpshooter, right?
Like
Bret Hart.
You grew up watching, Calgary.
Yeah, he is a Calgary guy, right?
It's funny, man. The Hart family here, like, we're switching gears, but professional wrestling in Calgary used to be here we have something called the Stampede, which is like, they call it like the greatest outdoor show on earth. It's like this just big 10-day drunk fest, big rodeo, right?
I know.
But there's hundreds of thousands of people that come up to this. I mean, it's filled with Americans come from all over the country to come check this out. But they used to have something called Stampede Wrestling, which was like in the 70s and 80s. This was big, man. This was like a huge deal. And the Hart family like made their name at Stampede Wrestling. And then obviously you went on to the WWF and then WWE. But pro wrestling's like a big, people like know pro wrestling around here. It's pretty fun. But anyway, the sharpshooter, man. Cops, if you're out there,
well, that's
Google,
it's funny,
Google the sharpshooter.
Right. So it's even funny because I train like cert guys and stuff, and one of the things we figured out, and they talked about like cuffing people because all they do is cuff people in the jails, right? So they're like better at cuffing people. So literally, if their arms are underneath them and they're like this, you grab them by their ankles and you drag them. What's your first reaction? To put your hands out to stop you.
Right.
So you just grab them by their feet and start dragging them, and they're gonna go no, and then that's when you jump on their arms.
Right. Interesting. That's
It
cool.
is. It's like one of the most simplest things you can do. How do you get the arms out? They're just laying there. If you start dragging somebody, most people's reaction is to grab something so you can't drag them.
Yeah, that's smart.
So
the one problem I have had with offering free instruction to cops is I got cops. My intent was to bring in cops that had no training, right? To like bring in a new person. But what I have now is cops that are already training at a competitor's school. They're like, oh, I'm just going to come to Rocky now and get free training. It's like, no, bro. No. The intent of this was to bring in new people.
Well, did you at least tell them that?
Yeah, I've straightened it out now, but it's like,
I know because you guys, it's like I've seen that. I've had one or two guys try to do that too. And I'm like, bro.
Yeah, that's not what we're doing.
Train at your school, support your school, man.
Yeah. And like these guys they've been working over COVID, they're not strapped for cash. So I had to call 2 school owners last week, and they're like, man, hey, thanks for reaching out. Because I was like, they were thinking like, what the hell are you doing, Christian? You just scooped 2 of my students that we're paying. Now they're not even paying at your school. I'm like, no, man, that's not what's going on.
Yeah, no. They got to still train at your school.
Yeah. Like if you're training, pay your bill, man. You're already paying. You're already trained.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If you like your academy and you like that's what I said. Like we were doing Zoom classes, we were doing stuff. I had students paying me, and you know, if you want your academy to be here after, and you like the facility, and you appreciate what we've done for yourself, your family. You know, I've had guys that have been with me over a decade. So you know,
Yeah.
like support me. You know, I've supported you and made you a better human being. Support me. You know, and that's kind of how we
Right.
approached it, and everybody's been really good about it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
See,
obviously we got this going a little bit, but you know, like for the most part, listen. But I've talked to this about Drew. I've spent a very, very extensive amount of time building a certain culture in my academy with my students, and we're like-minded people. And you know, we're open-minded, but we're like-minded people, and we have a level of you know, loyalty, whether you train somebody, but it's just character. I guess that's a better way of putting it. Just your values, your character, your morals. And I really push it every day. And it obviously has been setting in with my students somewhere because they've been holding true to those values and those characters.
Yeah. One thing like, we got a couple other, there's lots of jiu-jitsu schools in Calgary now. And I like having the diversity of the other instructors because they do certain things that attract a certain type of student. Go there.
10th Planet in a Henzo.
Yeah,
like
I like that there's this diversity because I don't want all those people at my school necessarily. Like I'm not trying to take all your students, you know.
No, I'm trying to take students.
Yeah, I like people that want to hang out with me. Like you do you.
Yeah.
You want to, you know, have crazy down payments and blah blah blah, lock people in for 3-year contracts. Good. Like I promote that.
Yeah.
I want you to do that. So those people can go there. You know, you gotta
different people too, and it's different business styles.
Right.
It's like different jiu-jitsu styles, and there's different things going on, you know?
Right. So you gotta have it for, you know, everybody. There's a burger out there for everybody.
Very true.
Yeah. So have you seen, like, as you're like training these cops, have they kind of reporting like they're kind of having the same issues like we're having up here, like not just like defunding, but with like, you know, you're seeing a lot of this escalation like police brutality.
Yeah, you dealing with that up there?
Yeah.
Generally our police are older, I've noticed. I mean, it's the tricky thing that you can't really make these like broad brush comments about American cops because you take a cop from New Jersey that's in a small town like Hillsdale, where I used to live. Those are all pretty like educated, you know, pretty educated, right?
Yeah.
They all went to college or whatever. You take a cop in like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw like some random town in Texas out, some sheriff. He probably didn't go to university.
Yeah.
You know, so it's tough to make these like broad brush statements about, you know, American police officers.
Yeah.
But generally our police officers, for some reason, we have a ton of cops from Europe. There's been a lot of like English police officers that have moved to Calgary.
World order.
Yeah, so we have like
moving on North America.
when you get pulled over here, the guy's usually like over 30, I've noticed.
Okay.
There's not a lot of young bucks. So they just have a little bit more life experience, I would say. You know, they're a little bit more knowledgeable. They're generally university educated, you know.
Yeah, well, that's so, like, even like think about me at 24 and then me at 38, like
big difference, man. You're gonna make a decision way differently.
Yeah,
so, way differently. But we talk about it all the time, especially once you have kids too, and then you start doing other stuff. You're just like you.
But I would say that the general consensus is they come 1 or 2 classes and they're literally horrified at how little they know. They're actually scared. This one guy came to me and sat in my office for like 10 minutes the other day. And he was like, man, I'm in shock. I'm in shock at how scary this is. He's like, your 3-stripe white belt, like literally just mopped the floor with me. And I thought I knew what I was doing. And he's like, your blue and purple belts, forget about it. Like, don't even, they're just scared. They're scared about the level of jiu-jitsu they have.
Well, it's not even just the level of how, like, what reality is. It's like, that's
right.
What I say. Like I've had police come in here and I'm putting them with my white belts and stuff. And these are like grown men and I'm putting them with like my teenage white belts and they're getting their ass kicked. And which is fine.
Excuse me, darling, can I get another coffee here?
You're such a nice guy.
I'm just joking. She's not getting another coffee.
She's like, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't back you on TV, right?
Yeah, I'm not getting another coffee.
Yeah. But you know,
So,
like, they're terrified, but it's also
They're terrified.
It does two things. I've noticed. If they can let their ego down, they're going to train and they're going to learn and they're going to be safer for themselves and their family. Or you get the other guys that can't deal with that. Oh, I can't be exposed like that. And they're going to continue to use their guns, their nightsticks, and mace people and beat the shit out of them. And that's it.
Yeah.
And they're like, I lift weights and I got a gun. I'm cool. Yeah,
I mean,
get to that gun.
Drew, back to your question, Art. Yeah. Whenever there's generally like a police issue here with the public, it generally, I don't want to, this may sound, it generally involves like,
You're good.
Yeah, you're good, man.
It generally involves like an indigenous person, like a native,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so they would probably have a far different opinion than our Calgary police service than I do.
Yeah.
So, there you guys have a certain type of people that's generally involved with, police interactions. And for us, it's a certain type of people here too.
Yeah. Well, it's like, like being on like the reservations, like in the South, like,
right.
They have their own police force because like the general police force, like, they have their own.
We got the same here. We got like,
dealing with Native Americans because they look at the regular police force like, no, that's not going to happen in my life.
Yeah. We got, Indian. I don't know if you can say Indian anymore without offending somebody.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I know. I grew up in Vancouver, and I played lacrosse growing up. And man, I played lacrosse. It was like I was like one of the only white kids on the team. And I remember when they said, you shouldn't be saying Indian. These guys and my teammates were like, no, we're Indians. Like,
we're fucking Indians. Yeah.
Well, I'm a fucking Indian, dude.
Yeah, which is cool. They're proud of it.
Yeah.
They're proud of their heritage. They're proud of their culture, and there's nothing wrong with that.
You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
But anyway, like our police here are generally pretty educated, and they're not running around beating people up or. I mean, there's jerks on every force, right? There's idiots.
It's any force, small town, big city. You always have kind of those few. So I mean,
it's everything in life. Everything in life is sort of like this. So like you can take any profession, whether you're a lawyer, doctor, cop, martial art instructor. Like 30% of them are going to be not that great.
Yeah.
The other 30% are going to be like good. The other 30% are going to be like better than average. Great. And then you have a 10% variance. Like. My buddy's a surgeon, and he's like, dude, I could tell you stories that would horrify you. You'll never walk into a hospital again. I know surgeons that are absolute junk. Like, they literally botch almost everything, and they're still working.
Yeah.
Like, that's horrifying.
I always thought about this. You ever walk into the doctor's office, and you're like, did you get A's or D's?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I've thought about it. I'm like, I walk in, I'm like, yeah, I see this cum laude stuff, but, like, you know how it is. Like, you just got to pass to get a degree, and they're like, degree from like Duke University. Yeah, but did you?
It's actually
it's
horrifying because like think of it from a martial art perspective. Look how many bad martial art instructors there are out there.
Yeah.
You relate that to a surgeon, you're like, oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah.
You're like, oh damn.
Like, enough shit to worry about. Like going into the thought, like it's just another level.
But look how many bad martial art instructors are out there.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. That's one thing I hate about this business. Like it's almost as bad as sales. Like you get some woman calling you up and she's like, my daughter and we're going to Europe for 5-6 weeks. And we're wondering, we'd like to take some martial art training before we go. So we're
self-defense class.
Yeah. We'd like to take some self-defense classes and, we want to pay you like, thousands of dollars. It's like, dude, the best thing you and I can do, we need to meet at the track. And we're going to work on our A, B's, and C's of running. So you can run away.
Yeah.
Because if some 200-pound dude gets a hold of your daughter's collar and starts punching you, I don't want you to say that you spent $5,000 training at Rocky Mountain Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, learning how to defend yourself. Like, there's just so much phony shit out there you could, like, tell people.
It's true.
It's scary.
It is true. So, like, here's a little bit, just because we got to get moving soon. You are also the owner of Kimura Soap.
Kimura Soap, yeah. Kimura Soap is it's actually Kimura Soap's doing well right now because we got hooked up with Third Coast Grappling,
Okay.
You guys watch that event? Yeah. So they've been really helping us out. They got a really good event on July 11th.
Yep.
We should tell the UFC to cancel their event on July 11th.
Yeah, we should. We'll get right. I'll call Dana White in a minute.
So what kind of, between like, pro football and like jiu-jitsu and like running your own business, like, what kind of like pushed you towards like, starting your own kind of soap brand, even though you see
the soap thing started in New Jersey. So like I was training at all these different schools, as you mentioned, and I was just thinking like, man, there's got to be a good liquid soap to bring out to all these schools, because the soap they provide in the school locker. I mean, let's face it, it's not that great a soap. Yeah. And so the Armbar soap company out there, but nobody was making a good like gel liquid soap. Yeah. So I was like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I wanted something that was like organic, didn't have chemicals in it, that was like naturally fighting, antimicrobial, antifungal. And so I found a good manufacturer and just slapped, a fairly simple name on it that everybody, I'm surprised there actually wasn't a Kimura soap already out there. Cause you say Kimura, there's literally, there's Kimura everything, like Kimura coffee. Actually, those guys are smart. Those Kimura coffee guys, you can't copyright Kimura, but they switched the E on it.
I saw
so
that.
They can copyright Kimura, right?
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, those guys are smart. Yeah. And then literally, I just bought a bunch of soap and just put it up on Amazon, and then would just hand it out to people, hand out free soap.
Well, when I first met you, I remember someone had brought up like Kimura soap, and you literally just like tossed me like a little 4-ounce bottle, and you're like, just try it out.
I mean, man, free people love free stuff, especially something that you're gonna use. It's like a free toothbrush. Yeah, I'm gonna need that.
Dude, I remember when you first started it, you went to maybe it was the Kasai qualifier or something. You literally had like a backpack full of soap. You're walking around, you're like, God, find all the guys that are winning and fucking give them soap.
Yeah, literally, and that's one thing I did. I just give it to the athletes, and most people that use the soap, they're like, like this good stuff. I like it.
Yeah.
And
it is. I still got a couple here. I got like 1 or 2 bottles left. I got the big ones though, so they last me long.
Yeah, big one in my gym bag. I got the big one in my suitcase for when I travel for work. Like,
so it
smells good, and it doesn't dry you out like most of the other.
No, it doesn't.
Like
it doesn't, and it keeps
soaps, and even armbar soap and stuff, and jiu-jitsu soap company. Listen, I've used them all. So but yours is like smells good. It lathers pretty good because
thank you guys.
Doesn't lather as well too.
I'm a Canadian, but Kimura Soap is definitely a New Jersey, New York company. You guys everybody's like, I thank you guys so much for helping me promote it. And
no, it's great.
We got a 16-ounce bottle coming out with a pump top. So.
Oh, really? Oh, there we go. Nice.
Yeah.
And you have the 2 scents. You have the tea tree and mint.
We got tea tree, and then we got a lavender, which my brother always.
That lavender shit.
My brother always. I know. My brother. We made the lavender like before we sort of thought about it, because my brother always makes fun of me. He's like, dude, nobody wants lavender soap. Like, you're gonna smell like an old grandma. Like, you smell like
I feel.
Listen, you smell like your grandma's. Smell like your grandma's panty drawer. Like nobody wants lavender. But the actual lavender is a nice soap. It just needs a new name. Like, I don't know. We need to think of a new name for the lavender, because.
What's your better seller right now, though? The mint or the lavender?
Oh, the tea tree mint, hands down. Nobody.
No, that's awesome, man. So I'm glad it's doing well for you. And then, guys, where can you get your Kimura soap?
Yeah, I mean, it's on Amazon. Just type in Kimura soap to Amazon, and then kimurasoap.com website. It'll be there quick. But Amazon's real quick if you got Prime.
And don't you guys donate too? I was looking on your guys' website last night. Don't you guys?
We donate we donate a percentage of our sales to like child protection. So I've sort of been switching organizations, because some of these organizations, you never really know like where your money's going, right?
Yeah. So I try people that run these organizations are shady sons of bitches.
I know. So, I mean, listen, we're not donating a whole, like, Kimura Soap sales aren't that crazy where there's like huge revenues going to these organizations. So, if they take a few $100, a few $1,000 and do something,
cool.
whatever. So the organization I think it's called Love 41, and they're on the front lines of like child protection. So that's something that I hate people that abuse kids, man. So
those bitches.
so I don't like those people. So we try to support those organizations, and that's an organization. I think they're based out of Connecticut.
Okay.
Love 41. So even though I'm a Canadian, but I put the money back into the most of my sales are in the Northeast. Our production facilities in the Northeast, so I put the money back into the Northeast community. And we still send we still send soaps out for like promotions to a lot of the jiu-jitsu schools. So I think we got some soap coming your way there for your school there, Garrett. Just to hand out to your people.
No, that's awesome. Good, but my guys love it. It's just like we haven't been open, so I haven't been able But it's funny.
When are you officially opening back up?
Yesterday. Well,
oh, nice.
I'm an American, so I do what I want, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Garrett's been doing the speakeasy jiu-jitsu for
I've been doing the speakeasy jiu-jitsu for some time now. Not Circle America was the password for a while. So,
yeah.
Officially we were able to open as of yesterday. A lot of the guidelines are still so it nothing makes sense in New Jersey right now. Like I said to Drew, I said on the other podcast, it's like, okay, if you wear your mask on your right ear upside down on Tuesday from your sister's cousin after you kissed your brother's mother, then you're okay. But if you put it on the left ear and you turn the water bottle upside down and give it 3 slaps, you're not okay.
Not okay.
Makes 0 sense. So, but yeah, we're working on it and we're just doing what we can do. And I'm taking my precautions. Like we take temperatures at the door. We're cleaning the hands. For the kids, we're social distant. We got little X's and they're moving around. But, for the rest of the thing.
Yeah. And we also talk about, even post-training, making sure you're cleaning yourself with soap. Kimura Soap, just a tag right there, but making sure that as you're post-training, you're doing those proper things to keep yourself clean before you're going back home to everyone.
Yeah, which is good. Listen, I said this the whole time. I'm glad the rest of the these dirt balls caught up to my standards. You've been in my school; it's immaculate. I clean everything. I wash it. This is nothing new for me.
I know we got to go. I went to train a lunch class at an MMA school just to I really like the instructors, good guys, Cardinal MMA.
Yeah.
Man, I shouldn't have said his name. Actually, it was a different school. the mats at some of these MMA gyms, dude, it is a completely different world than a jiu-jitsu school.
Yep. So.
Those mats are brutal at some of those other schools.
Yeah. So, what's it called? So we're going to wrap up. Guys, check out rolljunkie.com, 50% off, 2 Live Fools. So let any of your guys know, 2 Live Fools.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Guys, thanks so much for having me, and good luck with the podcast.
Good. It was awesome seeing you, man, and I'll talk to you soon. We miss you, brother.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job there, and your students are lucky to have you there, Garrett.
Thank you, brother. You too.
Drew.
All right.
Thanks again, man. Chat soon, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Good seeing you.
Later, gentlemen.
Later, brother.
Bye-bye.